Next we're going to be removing all the large blemishes and trouble spots using the patch tool. And there are quite a few little problem areas on this image. So straight off the bat, I'll just zoom in, Command spacebar, click and drag over Rebecca's face, and let's have a look if anything needs doing up here. So there's nothing really on Rebecca's face which needs working on. However, there are quite a few little areas around here, these red patches, there are a couple of lines on the neck, and there are a few lines underneath the arm, and the other arm as well. So to get onto our patch tool, which is under the same submenu as our spot healing brush tool, you can either go up to the submenu and just scroll and just click on the patch tool, or alternatively, you can just hit Shift J to cycle through that submenu until you end up on the patch tool, which is this one right here, which looks like a little patch, of course. So first of all, there are a couple of very faint lines here underneath the neck. And the way the patch tool works is all you have to do is you run your cursor around the area, much like the lasso tool, around the area that you want to get rid of, and you drag it onto a patch of skin which you like the look of, which you want to replace into that selected area. And because the patch of skin just to the immediate right of this selection is comparatively clear, I'm going to drag this selection over to the right, or left I should say, sorry, let go, and you can see that that faint line has disappeared. Yet the original tone of that area, that patch of skin, has remained the same, even though the area to the left of it was a lot lighter. Because what it does is it samples the tone around that area and dumps the tone in, but not the texture. And that's the main difference between the patch tool and the spot healing brush tool. Once again, there's another line just above this area, so I'm going to scoop it up, just like this, and drag it to this now clear patch of skin just underneath it. Let go. And those lines have disappeared. Command D to deselect. Do a quick before and after, and after, and that little patch of skin is much clearer. So what we'd have to do now is run through the rest of the body, once again starting at the top and working my way down, getting rid of any large areas which I find a little bit distracting. Scrolling down to the chest area, Command minus just to pan out a little bit, we can see that there's an abrupt change of colour here. There are quite a few red patches on Rebecca's skin, and they're very easily gotten rid of. All we have to do is scoop up a large patch that we want to get rid of and drag it onto a comparatively clear patch of skin, such as this area just a little bit lower and to the right. So I'll click and drag it over to here, let go, and if I Command D to deselect, didn't work entirely well. There's this little patch here which I've since adopted, so I'll scoop that up as well and drag it down here. And all of a sudden, those red patches are gone. So I'll continue moving along through the skin and get rid of more of this red skin. I think I'll just quickly get rid of this little trouble spot on Rebecca's left arm. So what I need to get rid of is I need to get rid of this area here and this line right here. So I'll start off with the one in the middle. I'll scoop it up, drag it over to this nice clear patch of skin, and that line is gone. And I'll do the same with this one, and let go. And that's worked quite well. So I'm going to continue getting rid of the red patches that are on Rebecca's right arm here. Now there's a big red patch here just on the edge, and continuing on, it's very easy to get rid of, just like before. We're going to scoop it up and drag it onto a clearer patch. Let go, and that, rather than being an abrupt change in colour, all of a sudden it's a nice smooth transition from this darker edge to this lighter area. Now this little patch, this little line underneath the arm here, we've got to get rid of that, scoop it up, and we'll move it over to the left. And it's been replaced. Now you'll see that where this line underneath the arm finishes, not only is it a little bit forked, but it's just very abrupt. And so a little bit later on in the next tutorial, I'm going to show you how using the clone tool, we can just soften the finish of that line. So we won't be removing it because it's an integral part of the anatomy, but we can just soften it a little bit so it's not quite so obvious. So we'll ignore that little patch for now. Scrolling on down, nothing on the arm, nothing really on the tummy which needs to be gotten rid of. Except for maybe that little patch right there. Command D to deselect. Scrolling down to the legs, we have the big bruise here. Command minus, just to pan out a little bit. Now all I have to do is scoop it up and drag it over to this nice clean patch right here. And the bruise is gone. Quite often the patch tool and the spot healing brush tool are interchangeable for removing areas and spots. However, I just find that the patch tool is much better for removing large tracts of skin or large blemishes. There's a little bit of discoloration here, or a bruise of something of some description, so I'll just select that and drag it over here so it's not quite so obvious. And nothing really needs to be gotten rid of on the feet with the patch tool, except for maybe this really obvious little white line right there. And maybe this little line right there. Command D to deselect, Command 0 to fit to window, and that's how you can get rid of all your large blemishes using the patch tool.